George III was, as you said, he's a young man. He was actually the grandson of the previous king because his father, Frederick, had died before the grandfather George II had been. And he was the third of what were known as the Hanoverian kings, whose base had been in the German Principality of Hanover. George I was the first Hanoverian king in 1714, and George II, and then in 1760, George III. He was the first of these Hanoverian kings to have been born in England. And the first to speak English fluently without a guttural German accent. He was young, he was handsome, he was seen as English. He comes in as king at a time in the world as at its greatest height and most successful, and at a time when those voluntary methods are being practiced. The point being that he was universally celebrated in 1760. He was highly popular in the colonies. The army was highly popular in the colonies. The British ministries were highly popular in the colonies. They weren't doing anything. It was seen as violating British liberty, and they were leading a war Americans were very excitedly contributing to. It was leading to smashing successes in defeating the great Catholic antichrist enemy. So George III starts off his reign in America as probably the most popular king there had been in the 18th century. And maybe as popular as the first Protestant king all the way back in 1689, William III, who had toppled a Catholic monarch in the II. George III was violently popular. And what this suggests is possibilities of what might have been had those methods and practices of actually winning the continued during the peace. So William Pitt, who I mentioned before, he thinks of the American colonies as people who can very much be administered successfully and effectively if you figure out how to do it. And he does figure out how to do it. If you have a different perspective, the very ways in which people are successful can fuel concern or fear or anxiety about the American colonies. So it is the case that there is a discourse that exists, a sort of set of conversations that exists in certain British policymaking circles. The American colonies are a dangerous problem in the sense that they're growing very, very fast. Their population is doubling every 25 years. Won't be longer, but too long before their population is larger than Britain. Their economy is growing by leaps and bounds. Will they remain dependent on Britain for very long? Are they governable? The very ways in which Pitt governs them can suggest to other people who are enemies or critics of Pitt that shows that they have to be not ordered or dictated to or policed, but begged. And that seems not a sign of strength but weakness. And so you can see, going back a pretty long way, a conversation in Britain about the seeming fear of an inevitability of American independence.